All right, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the Wednesday bookmap stream. And I'm trying to mute the Halloween noises because it is ridiculously distracting. Check, check, check. Anyway, welcome to bookmap stream. It is now 10:30, Wednesday, October 30th, and we are here for another day of managing liquidity. Today is the 45th day of the same exact copy and paste price action day after day. Nasdaq is heading up to 2700, 2737, which is the upper side liquidity. ES is doing the same, respective, although very, very light liquidity. They've had a little bit at 58.74. They took that off. We have no icebergs. CVD is very light. You know, the reason why that is because the market is completely controlled by zero DTE action. The market does not want to go anywhere on the macro scale, so they will utilize the ranges of the zeros. And every day is met with insanely high call buying on the zero DTE scale or insanely high put buying, or both, which is the case today. Today the market opened with almost 4 billion. In fact, there was 4 billion in put buying, and now we're up to 2.5 billion in call buying. So all the while they are not rolling off the puts, but they have bought both calls. In combined total, we've got about 6 billion total of notional on the books, which is an extreme amount of zero DTE calls and puts. So keep an eye out if they elect to close one leg or the other. But that's the nature of the price action until we go here. Very, very light liquidity with an insane high amount of zero DTE options. My 8.5-inch 300 blackout's my favorite gun, for show. All right. Just getting settled in here. I'm trying to mute these noises. Bear with me. Bear with me. Hmm. Edit. Is that it? There we go. Now I found it. Okay. Yeah, we're going to turn off Halloween because that's absolutely awful. And then we're going to mute all this crap. All right, I think we're good. Cool. Now we're back. Sorry. All right, so yes, it has been bullish. We had a major bounce off of 542 up to 670, and since then it has trickled up to 700. But for the past 30, 40 minutes here, it's just been a slow grind up, which is the same exact stuff in a while. Can't find the YouTube link. Oh, there it is. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it, buddy. I just hope my paperwork was approved. What paperwork? Do you have to have paperwork to buy a gun? That's not freedom-like. 682. Bought my first round of Boeing shares yesterday in the IRA. Nice trade, Trader Jay. I think that'll pay well. If I still know you in 10 years, I think you'll be thanking me for that. Or thanking yourself. You're the one who did it, not me. They're trying to ruin it here in Colorado. Thankfully, some of this 2A friendly country counters are pushing back. Nice, Uber Toyota. Good. Hope they continue to push back. Need to re-listen to the podcast. Such good nuggets. That's crypto. Yeah, we got. I'm a little bit busy right now, but I'm in the process of slowly rolling out some more content, getting everything edited and recorded, both on YouTube and the podcast. But definitely, I appreciate that. So we're still rejecting 700 area. Very light liquidity, like I said. I don't have any major iceberg to speak of. We have one small one earlier this morning. Nasdaq is a little bit of 700. They restrict me since I'm Texas non-resident from buying pistols and long rifles. I can't get anything else. That's where you want to go to a gun show and buy them unregistered. That's the way to do it. $26.85, still holding, still bottom wicking. Come on now. So if for those who aren't a part of the community, obviously we only go on Bookmap once a week, but this is about the time where things start getting pretty dull and I don't take any more trades. The whole theme the past month has been take a trade the first 30 minutes to hour of the day, and then pretty much hands off until the next day. I don't even look at the charts at about 11 o'clock Eastern, somewhere in there, simply because this is the nature of the beast, and this is what happens when you're in an environment with very low liquidity, with very high short-dated options data, because it's all representative of the underlying hedging of the big institutions, because they pile in one side or the other, manages their trade, and that's it. And then the market just does crappy stuff the rest of the day, low confidence stuff. So. And low volume, 100% low volume. One sec. Thought I was going to die there for a second. No such luck, though. That's the only way we'd be able to escape this Boeing price action. 680 here, NASDAQ still pinned after 45 minutes. Liquidity up to 737 to the upside is the only thing we got, and that's about it. That's about it. We're going to look for any signs. If I see high liquidity and high icebergs, that's where we'll be looking for make a move, but I doubt it. Have I started seeing penguins migrate south for the winter? Not yet. The penguins in my neck of the woods are still hanging around, but yeah, the 300 blackout with sub ammunition is pretty fantastic. It's like a mouse click. It's crazy. This is pretty awful. Pretty awful. However, that should start picking up here at the end of the week, I would hope. Apple is getting destroyed, by the way. They are not bullish at all. Nvidia has reduced a lot of their losses. Microsoft, all of tech pretty much has bounced back up, except for Apple. They continue to get smoked. Yields are bright green, at least the 2 years are. The 10-year was red, but they are about to break over to green, and 2 years continue to just rocket ship, which is still pricing at a bit of a slap in the face to J-Powell. What broker do I use? I use IBKR for all my options trades, and most in most of my futures trades, unless I'm trading prop firms. Oil just had some news, shaking and baking, but they didn't really go anywhere. They're still 68.17. They're still following their upward channel if you're looking for CL. A little bit better playable action there, just a slightly. But the fact that they have rejected yet again, and they're following my trend line as well, we could probably see 67, 97, 68 or so right there before another move if you're a CL trader. I have to join the Florida Guard. Do it. We could use a little sweet liquidity to keep the party going. 100%. Try to. I want the party to start, honestly. I want the party for next week. Can everything join Apple? Eventually. Eventually. Will I be streaming ER today? Let me see. What depends what time it is. If it's right at the bell, then yes. If it's like at 4:30, then no. Yeah, it looks like it's right at the bell, isn't it? Yeah. Microsoft. Yeah, I'll be here for Microsoft. Apologize, Juicebox. Let me see here. Hero. There's not really much to analyze right now. I apologize for the boredom, but there's literally nothing to go over here. We're right into resistance. ES has 58.50, which is topside short calls. So that'll be a likely rejection point. My theory was they're going to liquidity sweep the NASDAQ at 58.70 to get everyone stopped out short and then dump it back over for people trying to play exactly what happened yesterday, which so far is working. It's just very slow and not really worth playing too far. Coming on down. There's a nice little sweep lower. VIX is creeping back up, 1971. Just rejected macro levels, baby. Macro levels. Large red candle, 645. How's the indicator called to enter your levels? I deleted, can't find it anymore. It's also not pinned. Let me take a look. That's the SR levels there. Which you should be able to put in the SR levels or the macro levels too. Now that you're since you're tier 2. Still going down. Bottom wick. Does that work? Does that help, Kit? Beautiful. Any icebergs below? Negative. Nothing. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Still coming off here. So far, they're literally doing exactly what is most likely given what happened yesterday. People trying to play the upside V recovery, and then they're just going to roll it back over. High volume spike here, too, on the sell side. So once they take out 640, which they already have, that's the support resistance area from this morning. The thesis of our short trade this morning. And, yeah, 546 lower. Oh, man. 632. How many billions of puts are below? Well, they have 4.53 billion. So this morning, that bounce this morning was just complete call buying. There was no put selling, which normally on a upward tailwind move, there's not only call buying, there's put selling as well, put closing. Now, we had a lot of put or call buying, but the puts just went from 4.1 billion. They sold off a little bit down to 3.6 billion, and now they're 4.4 billion. So they've added another billion in puts all over the place. And post those in the tier 2 channel, Kit, please. Oh man. Stream analysis. Oh, okay, okay. Just add some zeros on the normal SR levels. Oh, you're putting them in the NASDAQ area. That's why. If you look on that indicator, there's places to add for NASDAQ. There's places to add for ES and SPY. So you're putting them in the NASDAQ area. It appears. It's right there. What we got? I don't know. That's odd. But it says E-minute futures, but you've got it at 58,000, so I don't know. Now it's all fine. Bounce back up. Seems to be recent price action this last month, all in the first 45 minutes. Yep. That's why I'll sign off after we get off the stream at at about 10:30. I literally sign off and I don't even check the markets. Like I'm done for the day. It's just this is the way the market is right now until it shifts. It's terrible. $58.77. CL's kind of chopping back and forth. RTY went on a beast mode trade this morning from 2239 to 2277. Huge move. They're now trying to eat back the imbalance from October 21st to the upside. SMCI is going for 31% sell-off. Yeah, that's what happens when you put on those type of numbers under fraud. You know, remember that scene in Family Guy where the insurance guy says fraud. I always think of that when I hear that word. Daily goal met, and I'll sign off most of the day. Nice. Gonna have a series meeting tomorrow with the higher ups about what I requested. Let go of 3 staff members. Gotta gather my ammo. Beautiful, Kennedy. I love it, buddy. Holding the newspaper. I wish we could do that to 90% of our government. Keep it up, buddy. Hmm. Huh. Yeah, it is slow, Kevin. It is slow. I do have to meet. I'll be back in about a minute or so. I'll be right back. Apologize. All right, I'm back. All right, what else you got? What else you want to look at? Because there ain't nothing going on here. Ain't nothing we're talking about. How's Gex looking? Right now, excuse me, we have Gex at, hold on, let me change this up here. 5840 with a max short call level of 5850. That's the main upside liquidity on SPX, which is what we're kind of having problems with. Now, bonds are shaking and baking. They just completely inversed. So that's going to throw a little mix in the thing here. NVIDIA calls and other calls are not really changing at all. So the only thing I'm really seeing here is the fact that we're rejecting 5850, and they're going to try to sweep what happened yesterday. Saw a guy on Twitter said he sold a bunch of short puts on SMCI. Ooh. Well, you just saw a guy on Twitter who's being liquidated. Usually there's a reason why a stock goes from like 400 to 30. There's a reason why. And that's not something you usually want to buy the dip on. You can buy a 20% reduction in price. That's usually by the dip mode. But when a stock does that, that is not by the dip. That means there's something fundamentally wrong. And you especially don't want to put short puts on that position. $58.71 dropping over 622. Took out the prior low. And I think this will put us on the path to 543 based on that move there. Oh man, have such a hard time jumping on these big moves. We haven't seen it to the point where I want to get a usually reversal time. Do I just have paper hands? No, you don't have paper hands. You just this, I was talking about this yesterday, is that the only way to really navigate this style of price action is on higher time frames. Being on the 5-minute and shorter time frame is only going to treat you poorly. So I've been on the 15-minute nearly exclusively for a couple of weeks now. and then it's also understand that the market is going to screw over both sides of the tape. What happened yesterday? Yesterday, NASDAQ grossly outperformed the S&P, and NASDAQ went from 440 to 780 for a 340-point move. Breakout day where nothing would ever stop going up. What happened today? We had another V recovery just like yesterday. Yesterday we dumped at the open and then V recovered and then obviously trended up. Today we had another dump at the open. Now what are they doing? Instead of the typical V recovery, a lot of people are trying to play the upside. They sweep the upside and then dump it, just like they are now. We're down about 80 points. So that's what they're trying to do, and that's how they sweep the book, because they get you thinking that one way they're going to go the other. They see that liquidity coming, and then they sweep it to the other side. So it's understanding that the market does stuff like that, and it's all boils down to liquidity. Where's the major liquidity in the market? Where's the major zones that you could pivot off of it? And if you can understand that, and also on the higher time frames, you can kind of pick your way through this stuff. And then, of course, for me, it all comes down to the risk management of the trade. Is I know that in this market, After about 11 o'clock Eastern, 11:30 Eastern, the market is not conducive to successful trading. So for me, I get my trade in, even if it's a very small profit or even a loss, and I get out. That's it. I don't even check the market. I'm using this as a time for rest. Um, the market's a lot of zeros, high level stuff, deet, 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 up in the brain. And you've got to be able to get away and give your brain a rest. And that's what I'm using this market for. I get my hour and a half in the morning. I get out because I know what's coming the end of this week, and I know what's coming next week. Next week is going to be the Super Bowl of the trading market. If you're a short-term trader, next week is your Super Bowl. So be ready for it. This is the resting period up into that. People were buying SMCI at 1K prior to the split. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. That's right, Uber Toyota. SMCI is down 73% from their peak. Yep. Do I have any videos on explaining liquidity sweeps in more depth? Not sweeps in particular, no. Waiting for 544. Yep. So that's where we're gunning for. Now that we took out the 640, which was the emphasis for our trade this morning, now that we're going to look for the probability of 545. Could take all day, though, but that's where we're gunning for. Never even heard of SMCI until like a month ago. Now I see it. Criminal activity. Yep. What's your thoughts on Robinhood earnings today? I have no thoughts on it. The only earnings I'm going to be paying attention to are the big dogs. What we got? 5871. Still no iceberg. Still very light liquidity. We have way more put buying than call buying. Google's up 5%, but they've given back some of their earnings today. Amazon is down. Just going through the mega caps here. Apple's still getting destroyed. LLY is down 7% after a terrible earnings. They missed earnings by 19%. Crazy. And they are down 7%, but that's after a V recovery. Crazy. Still coming. 544. There it is. Or 640. And another retest of the 6-4. Nothing going on. Nothing going on. Bonds are still getting crushed. So I'm going to go, let's take a look at bonds. That's interesting. The daily, where's something trading? Another iceberg on there, sell side. So bonds are still on the decline from 101, now down to, it got down to 91 yesterday. Ultimately, though, it looks like they are headed back into the upper 80s. What do I use to look at the bonds? I track TLT as my bond metric. There's a thousand different ways to track the bonds, though. You got ZB, you got the yields, you got US 30, US 02, US 10, the JPY rate, all that stuff. But my initial go-to is TLT. That's the bond ETF for the 20-year. And right now, it's still showing that the bond market is in the longest and most egregious bear market in history, which is still unable to get out. And rejection off of the 101 down to 92 after the rate cuts is spectacular. And now we're looking for probably 87, upper 80s is what I would look for on TLT. So I still think the long TLT play or a long bond play held for the indefinite time period is one of the best plays you could put on right now. Because there's two scenarios to that position failing. If you put on a long bond play, either one, you're going to make a ton of money. Or two, it's not going to matter anymore. And we're going to be bartering with sticks and eggs as our currency because nothing else will matter. Man, I got some coughing issues today. I apologize. I had to hold that one in. Holding back a cough is one of the hardest things you can do. That's some David Goggins stuff. Oh man, I wonder what other traders are talking about right now in their streams. There ain't nothing going on. Is there a way to hedge on a long bond? Well, it depends on how you play it. So, if you are buying options, then you could sell the appropriate option, or you take the other side of the trade. If you're trading bond futures, then you can hedge with the respective put if it's going to go down. But, yeah. What do I think about selling some cash secured puts at TLTs at highs at 80s? Not a bad idea. Because what happens if you get assigned, you know? That's right. I wouldn't mind getting signed around 87 for sure. I wouldn't mind getting assigned a big old fat hamburger right now too. It's almost lunchtime. They're asking if you would take the knowledge of. Yeah, we already talked about that though, so we're ahead of the game then, Juicebox. We're ahead of the game. You're welcome, Steve. quick question. A doji candle on the daily, for example, would you say that a candle must be an awful lot of positioning, maybe closing out, and also a lot of speculation? It depends on volume. You know, a doji can mean nothing and a doji can mean something. So if I see a very high volume doji on the daily candle, on the daily chart, that tells me that both sides of the parties are participating to a great degree. So if we're in a big uptrend and we have a very high volume doji, that tells me that we may have hit supply. It doesn't confirm yet. It's not like a top wick or something, but it does tell me that the sellers are beginning to respond. If we have a low volume doji, then it's just a placeholder for more upside if we're in an uptrend. And then, of course, the larger the wicks on the doji, the more information I have. Small doji with very narrow spread with very light volume tell me virtually nothing. That's basically a neutral candle. It doesn't give you one direction or the other. Large green candle NVIDIA, as we are now pumping into earnings. Good question, though. I appreciate that. You're welcome, AR. Bottom wick back up. All right, y'all, that is 11:30, and we are at the end of our stream right here. So if you have any questions about anything, let me know. But there shouldn't be much. You know, we didn't really do anything. The market's been pretty dang slow. I will see you all bright and early tomorrow morning for the stream in the server as we get into the mega cap earnings this week, and then of course just kind of bide our time until next week. So, have you been seeing all the news about the AAA U.S. commercial real estate bonds taking on water? Yep, and all the banks starting to go spike in unrealized losses. It's crazy. Yeah, more like 2008 15.0. Apparently, it's going to be way worse than 2008. So. Appreciate you hanging out. I will see you all bright and early tomorrow morning. I'm out. See you.